Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Robinson. This is day 6 of this unit. So hopefully you guys are getting your notes done, getting your homework done, and asking questions. We are here to help. So let's get started. A rational exponent. So if it's x to the a over b, we can rewrite that with the information. So a is the power and b is the root. So I'm going to put b on the outside because that's the root, and then it's going to be x to the a power. So I can rewrite it to look like this, okay? So let's try the first few examples just so you guys can get used to it. So if I put 9 to the 1/2 in the calculator, my answer would be 3. Now, why would that happen? Okay, well, it's because I would have 9 to the 1st on the inside, and it would be a square root, so it would be a 2. So again, this is the power, and this is the root. Okay? So, what is the square root of 9? Well, let's make a pair. 9, what goes into it? 3 and 3, so that's a pair, so my answer would be 3. There we go. All right, now let's try the next one. So I have 27y to the 6 to the 1/3 power. So again, this is the power, this is the root. So I'm going to make this the cube root of 27y to the 6th. And now let's see if I can break this apart, and I can simplify. So 27 is 9 and 3, and then what goes into 9? 3 and 3. So now I have a group of 3s. I call it 3 peas in a pod. So I can take that out and make it 3. And now let's deal with the y to the 6. So I have 6 y's. So I have 1, 2 groups. Yahoo! So I have y squared because I have 2 groups of 3. All right, so my answer would be 3y squared. So what I'm doing is I'm changing it to this exponent. I'm changing it to a radical problem. That's what it says to do. Rewrite in radical form and simplify. Let's go. All right, let's do this next one. So 49 1/2. So what does that mean? That means 49, the square root of 49. Again, I like to label so I know. So that's the power and that's the root. So root is the outside, so it's a square root because it's a 2. The power is 1, which just means it's just 49. 49 to the 1st. It's just 49. Let's split up 49 with 7 and 7. I've got a pair. My answer is 7. All right, I want you guys to try B. So again, if this is the power and that's the root, how would you solve this one? All right. So 10, what goes into 100? 10 and 10, so I take that out, take that pair out. X squared, I have a pair of x's, so my answer would be 10x. So we are rewriting these into radical form. All right, now let's keep it going, and let's try these 4 out, okay? So, all right, so again, I like to label, so this is the power, this is the root. So in this situation, my root is 2, which is square root, okay? If it doesn't have a little number here, you know it's a square root, and the power is 1, so then I can have -4 on the bottom. All right, so let's break apart 4, and that would be 2 and 2. But remember, if I have an I, this isn't a negative on the outside, folks, sorry. So I have the square root of -4. -4. All right, so I have a pair of 2's. Now, if I have a negative on the inside, okay, and if it's a square root, I need to write 2i, okay? Because I cannot, if I did -2 times -2, my answer would be +4, not -4. All right, so my answer is not -2. My answer is 2i. The I is there because of that negative. Okay? All right, now let's try another one. So 1 is the power, 4 is the root. So now I have 4 root 16. Okay, well, we haven't really dealt with 4s yet. Okay, quad root, I don't know if that's a thing. We'll see. So I need 4 of something in order to take it out of the radical. Okay, so let's break apart 16 and see what's up. Okay, so I'm going to keep breaking apart until I get my prime numbers. And if you notice, I have 4 2's. Well, that was convenient. So my answer is just 2 because I needed 4 of them in order to take it out. Okay, if you wanted to put that in the calculator, you could put 4 and then find the button. Woohoo! Find the button that looks like this and it says X. X root. So if you put 4 and then X root, it'll put the 4 in for that spot. Okay? Put the 4 in for that spot and then you can find 4 root 16 and see what you get. Okay? To check your answer. All right, the next one. Gonna go a little bit faster. The power and the root. So now I have cube root negative 8. Okay? Break it apart. 2 and 4, 2 and 2. All right, I have a group of 3, so I can take it. I have a group of 3 numbers. That number is 2, so I can take it out. And I have a negative, so my answer is negative 2. But Miss Robinson, over here it said 2i. How is it different? Well, ladies and gents, a square root cannot have a negative. That's why we put an I. But a cube root, you say? Well, let's check. Okay, well, that is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. That answer is actually negative 8. So you always can go backwards. So instead of rooting, we can multiply these numbers together and see if we get our final answer. So yes, you can have a cube root of a negative. All right, and ask your teachers in person if you need help with your calculator, and we can show you the buttons you need in order to solve these and check your work. All right, I want you to try D. Okay, so if you have the square root of negative 64, branch it out, and what will be your answer? All right, because it's a square root, you should have gotten 8i. Okay, now we're getting a little bit trickier, so let me zoom in and work out the next problems. All right, so I'm going to do 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then you guys are going to try the other letters and see how you do. Okay, so 32. So that with the 1/2, I'm going to change it into the square root of 32. Now break apart 32, 8 and 4. 8 is 4 and 2. I keep going until I have all prime numbers. Okay, I keep branching. Now I'm going to look at the end of the branches and see if I have any groups, any pairs. I can take out the pairs. Okay, so now I have 2 times 2 on the outside, and I have 1 lonely 2 on the inside. So my final answer is 4 root 2. Okay? All right, the next one. All right, well, this one looks a little bit more complicated. But again, the same idea with this exponent, okay? So I have square root of 20w to the 3rd. So now let's deal with the 20 first. So I have 4 and 5. What goes into 4, 2, and 2. Now, for an example, guys, can I break apart 20 with 10 and 2? Yes, you'll get the same answer, okay? Just keep on making those branches until you get all prime numbers, okay? If I did 10 and 2, I would still get the same answer. I'd get the same branches where I find a pair of 2's that I take out and the 5 stays in, okay? So the same idea. So if you broke apart 20 with 4 and 5 or 10 and 2, again, same answer. You just broke it apart differently, and that's all good. So w to the 3rd, I have 3 w's. Do I have any pairs? Yes, indeedy. I've got a pair of w's that goes on the outside, and I've got this lonely w that has to hang out with the 5. Okay, so who gets to leave the radical house and who has to stay? So my answer should be 2w root 5w. All right, number 7 and number 8. Now we have some more trickiness, okay, folks? So I got a little bit more trickiness for number 7 and number 8. So 25. Now I have the power of 3, and I have and I have the root of 2. So I have 25 to the third, and then this is square rooted. Okay? So 25 to the third, and that is square rooted. Holy mama. So I have 3 25s. Okay? So that's what this means. So I'm going to, under the square root, I'm going to put 25 3 times. So that's what the power means. The power is attached to this base. Okay? So the base is 25, and it's to the third power, and it's all under the square root house. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to see if I can make groups of 2 because it's square root. So 25 is 5 and 5, 25 is 5 and 5, 25 is 5 and 5. So how many pairs? In my class, I talk about pairs of socks. So how many pairs of socks do I have? Well, I have 3 pairs of socks, which is now 5 times 5 times 5, okay? Which you could write 5 to the third, or 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. Okay? So a little bit trickier, but you can do it. I know you can. All right, now let's try number 8. So I like to label 4 is the power, 3 is the root. So I have the cube root of 8 to the 4th. Okay? So that means I have 4 8s under the radical. Now, because it's a cube root, I'm trying to make groups of 3. 3 peas in a pod, as I like to call it. Okay? I know we have so many different analogies for this unit. We're doing our best, especially our last unit, too, with radicals. Okay, so 8. Break apart this 8. Break it apart, break it apart, break it apart. Okay, so 8. Let's do 4 and 2 and 2 and 2. And I'm going to do the same thing for the rest of them. And because I don't want to get confused, I highlight all of my prime numbers so then I know what I'm looking at. Okay? Now I want you guys to circle your groups of 3. Okay, so I have a group of 3 2s here, group here, a group here, and a group here. Well, look at that. Okay? I have 4 groups of 2s that I can take out. So I'm going to take them out of the radical house, and I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, or 2 to the 4th, okay? And 2 to the 4th is 16. And there we go. Okay? So we tried out those problems. Now it is your turn. I want you guys to try these 4 problems out and come back and check your answers. All right, so E should be 4 root 3. F should be 2n cube root 2n. G is 2/5 or 32. And H is 3 to the third or 27. So once you solve those, again, you can ask your teacher if you need to clarify some of these problems. Okay, we have a few more left. We'll try those out, and then we're going to write it the opposite way. All right, we've got a few more to do, and then we will be done with this section. So 2 to the 3 halves. Okay, so what does that mean? So the 3 is the power, and the 2 is the root. I keep saying kind of the same song and dance. So another way you could write this is you have the square root of 2 to the third power. So what does that mean? That I have the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2. Okay, so I don't really write it that way because I want to just put them all under the same radical house from the beginning. So what I do is I do the square root of 2 times 2 times 2. Put them all under the same radical, but that's a different way to see it if that helps you. Okay, so the square root of 2 times 2 times 2, I have a pair, so I take that out, and then my answer is 2 root 2. And there you go. Same with the next one. It's a cube root of 4 squared. So then I'm going to take out, so 4 squared means 4 times 4. And I'm going to branch, see if I have any group of 3s. I have this group of 3s, or this is a group of 2s, so there's 3 2s. Holy mama, that's hard to explain. So I have 1, 2, 3. It's a cube root, so I can take that out. So I have 2 root, and what is remaining? This 2 is remaining, so he has to stay inside the radical house. He can't go hang out with the rest of them. All right, we keep on going. So I want you to try I and J. Same idea. Try I and J and check back. All right, I, your answer should be 9. And for J, your answer is cube root of 36. There are no groups of 3 and 36, so that is your final answer. Okay, now let's go the opposite. So let's say that we had water and we froze it and made ice. Now we're going to go from ice and we're going to melt it and make water. So it's just going the opposite way, okay? So how am I going to put this in exponential form? That means make an exponent. What? Crazy. So let's review on what we had before. What are the principles or properties of this idea? All right, so I'm going to go back to my beginning of my notes. So if I had x to the a over b, and that can translate to b root x a. All right, so we have to look at where the a and the b are. So 8 is the power, and 3 is the root. So how would I write that as an exponent? Okay, well, the power is on the top, and the root is the denominator. So I'm going to write 7 to the 8/3. And that's it. Okay, so I'm rewriting in exponential form. So 7 to the 8/3. All right, now let's try the next one. Well, there's nothing on the outside, folks, so then I know that it's a square root. Okay? And the power, there's nothing there, so the power is 1. So in order to rewrite the square root of 8, that would just be 8 to the 1/2. Because there's an invisible 2 here, and there's an invisible 1 there. So 8 to the 1/2 would be your answer. All right, for K. All right, the power is 5, and the root is 2. So I'm going to write 6 5/2. And the final one, 9 to the 1st, there's no powers, so I know that there's an invisible 1. And the root is 3. So I have 9 to the 1/3. Okay, so that's how I would rewrite it from a radical to an exponential form. All right, have a great day.